There are 4 parts to the test. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Part 1. You will hear a phone-in service called What's Happening This Month. For questions 1 to 10, look at the programme of events and fill in the information.
Thank you for calling What's Happening This Month. When the recording has finished, please replace your receiver. Should you wish to listen to the recording again, wait a few seconds and the information will be repeated. The late Christian Donald's work still arouses great interest, and this month sees the opening of an exhibition of his less well-known collection of portraits of his friends and celebrities. The exhibition, entitled People I Have Known, will be held at International Studios. The entry fee is not cheap at £10, but a visit will make compulsive viewing for photo fanatics. Boris Murimov, the great Russian artistic director, will be presenting As You Like It at the Theatre Royal in central London. The production runs for 2 months before going on a world tour. A must for all lovers of Shakespeare. The North Bank Theatre undertakes to stop those weekend blues with its season of classic greats entitled As They Were. Saturday the 16th sees the start of the season, and on Friday and Saturday evenings throughout the summer, a series of classic movies will be commanding the cinema screen. A real treat for cinema buffs. A festival of world conservation will be held at the Media Centre, Bristol, on the 14th of this month. The main attraction will be The Disappearing Act, a film about the depletion of the world's resources, followed by a debate about how to preserve our planet. There will be 2 guest speakers. The Craft Council's touring exhibition, Out of the Wood, takes trees as its theme. Jack Thompson's sculptures with leaves, Alison Wilson's furniture, and Mark Gibbs' giant fans are all on show. Catch them before the end of the month. Ways with Words is a new literature festival to be held at the Dartington Centre in an area of outstanding natural beauty. The accommodation for guests on the week-long course is in a wonderful medieval building with stunning gardens. Guest speakers will include well-known writers speaking on such themes as creating utopias and soil and toil. Participation on a daily basis is also possible. For further information about any of these events, call 0273 616121.
That is the end of Part 1. Part 2. You will hear the representative of a travel company announcing changes to a holiday programme. For questions 11 to 16, write down where the events and activities will now take place.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Pleasure Travel, may I welcome you to the beautiful resort of Budmouth. I'm sure you're really going to enjoy your stay here. And, of course, we've got so many exciting things for you to do here. You're really spoilt for choice, I'm afraid. Now, could I just ask, have you all got your programmes?
Yes.
Good, fine. Well, perhaps I could just run through them with you.
Oh, right.
There are 1 or 2 little things we've had to change.
Oh,
no. No, really, hardly anything at all. In fact, we've actually improved things, as I think you'll agree. So, I must just point out that tomorrow, breakfast won't be served in the main dining room, but in the Red Room, so that we can have it all together, because we need to make a punctual start for our excursion. Be in the foyer by 9:15 at the latest, please. All ready for our coach trip to the Bicycle Museum. There's lots to see there, and you can even ride some of the exhibits. And then, by popular request, some time to visit the newly renovated indoor market. You may remember that this was burnt down 2 years ago, but it's on our way, and I know you all want to buy presents to take back with you. Then, although I know we said it'd be lunch in an Italian restaurant, we thought that, given the hot weather, it would be nice to eat out of doors. So we've booked you in at an open-air restaurant. I've marked it on the town map that I'll be handing out in a minute. In the afternoon, we'll be taking the river trip, as on your programme, but not visiting the old watermill. That's closed now, unfortunately. And finally, dinner back here in Budmouth. Not in the hotel, though, but at a restaurant we've only just discovered. The Wooden House, it's called. Built entirely of wood, as you might guess. And, of course, it's included in the price you've paid. Now, moving on to day 2.
That is the end of part 2. Part 3. You will hear a radio programme about taking family photographs. For questions 17 to 24, complete the notes.
We all have drawers full of snapshots, but what are they? A piece of history? A record of happy memories? Or a testament to the fact that the camera can indeed lie? Gerald McGovern is a professional photographer. Jane France is one of the editors of a book called The History of Domestic Photography. Jane, as an art form, photography is really only just over a century old. How has it developed in domestic use?
Well, it's developed by being all of those things that you mentioned, really. People are looking for pictures that will record their families and their homes. And so the photographic technology has got closer and closer to the home, more and more informal. So if you look at the early pictures in people's albums, those taken when grandmother was a girl, in everybody's albums you'll find these very stiff, posed portraits, some of them studio portraits. And then you look at contemporary pictures today, you find the family at play. You find snapshots which show children laughing, you find the holiday pictures. So it's changed over the years, become more relaxed, less of an ordeal.
Gerald, is there a conflict, as there is in other artistic areas, between the low art of the domestic photographer and the high art of the professional?
No, there's no conflict. I, as a professional photographer, don't take any family snaps because my children would never pose for me. In my commercial work, when I go and photograph other people's children, they have respect for the photographer. My kids never had any respect for me as a photographer at all. And if it hadn't been for my wife with her Instamatic camera taking pictures, I wouldn't have any record at all of their younger years. I detect a sort of use now, more by women, using very easy-to-use throwaway cameras almost. And certainly in my family it seems to be the women who are taking the pictures rather than the men.
As Gerald says, all the photographic companies, all the Kodak ads are directed at women. You know the kind of thing. Even a woman can do this very simple photography. Taking pictures couldn't be easier these days.
What about these ones, then, that you've got here? You've actually brought pictures that your wife has taken.
Yes. These are not great photographs, but they are very important memories for me. And they will be for my children, though they won't thank my wife for taking some of these poses. But it's interesting what you can do. The page here is a series of little cutouts that my wife took. There's maybe 20 pictures here, and they haven't all got great backgrounds. I mean, you were asking the difference between amateur and professional photography. Professional photography will have good backgrounds. Ruth would just go around and take pictures because they were good little fun moments. And what she's done is cut out the best bits of it. She's got rid of, the annoying chair in the background or whatever, and just made one picture out of 20 bits of picture.
But they're all lovely smiling... Oh, well, not that you haven't got lovely smiling children, but does the camera, in a way, tell us lies about ourselves?
You're right. People do play up to the camera, and this is the greatest problem. Among this lot here, there aren't any pictures of children looking bad-tempered. We do react to the camera. As soon as the camera comes out, you sort of go into a pose, if you like. Probably that's their weakness, really, as family snaps.
Or is it a weakness? Isn't that just what they are? I mean...
There's something missing. There's something missing from the family album. That is, anger, bad temper, you know, the foul days, the sulks.
Very briefly, what about video? Do you think it's taking over from the camera?
I think so. And I think it's an interesting point. You know, we were saying earlier about more women than men taking photos. Well, it'll be men that'll be making the videos.
Because it's become high-tech technology instead of the easy...
And men are the only ones capable of doing it.
Oh, in theory, in theory.
That's right.
But in practice, that's something that women buy becoming the recorders. I mean, it's very much women who've collected. It may have been the men in the early days who took the pictures, but very often, well, certainly we've found that in the book it's the women that put the collections together. It's the women who've sort of made the history which they pass on.
Jane France, Gerald McGovern, thank you both very much.
That is the end of Part 3. Part 4. This part consists of 2 tasks. You will hear 5 short extracts in which various people are talking about some aspect of travelling. Look at Task 1. For questions 25 to 29, match the extracts as you hear them with the people listed A to H. Now look at Task 2. For questions 30 to 34, match the extracts as you hear them with the phrases listed A to H that best describe each speaker's comment.
Can't imagine why it takes you 4 hours. I mean, I can load up the samples, free offers and all the advertising literature, buzz up the motorway and be in the customer's office in 3. And that's on a weekday.
Obviously, planning any sort of military campaign involved sorting out communications. When you consider that London to Edinburgh was several days' forced march, rather than an hour by plane, before an army could begin to think about fighting, then you begin to comprehend the difficulties of moving an army any distance at all, particularly when everything had to be carried on horseback.
They just don't think it can happen to them. It doesn't seem to matter how much is spent on trying to educate them. The idiots don't grasp it till they've had a smash. I never cease to be amazed at the speeds people do. They even overtake our patrol cars. So what can you expect?
Well, of course you expect them to be lively. We all were at that age. It's the mess they leave behind, on the seats, under the seats, sweets and chewing gum, and half of them leave their books. I fill a rubbish bag twice a day with their junk. I remind them every morning when they get off to take their rubbish with them, but it doesn't seem to make much difference.
Well, unfortunately, as we all know, cities are violent places sometimes, especially for women. So we started this service by women and for women, and we get more customers every day. People who want to have peace of mind, getting to and from work, to the airport, getting home from parties. Well, everything really. What's more, we offer a fixed fare so they know what it's going to cost even before we set off.
That is the end of Part 4. That is the end of the test.